What is up, everybody? It is your local Ottawa fan, and I'm here today to talk about the 3-1 loss to the Montreal Victoire. The Ottawa Charge have won 7 of their last 9 games. Their 2 losses, their lone 2 losses, both coming to the Victoire, both for the same reason, an inability to score more than 1 goal. Every loss has been an inability to score more than 1 goal. I don't know what to make of this. I do and I don't. I do and I don't. Because, on the one hand, if they score multiple times, they're going to win. And then if they don't, they're going to lose. And that seems cut and dry, right? It seems like, okay, what Charge team are we going to get? Or are they going to get the team that scores or the team that doesn't? But on the other hand, you look at the two, halves of the... Well, not halves, but, halves of the season. Now, we started with an inability to score. On our first 6 games, we had 1 win, and it was the only game where we scored twice or more. And then, since then, every other game, if we scored twice or more, we won. And the few times that there was an exception, we lost. We still have not had a game where we scored 2 goals and also lost. And yes, there was technically a game where we scored 1, but, we won 2-1 in shootout. I'd still say, hey, that's scoring the second goal. But more of my point is, if we score multiple times, we don't lose. If it's 2-1 Ottawa, might as well be 200-1 Ottawa. We don't lose those games. The issue is, will we even get to 2? But at the same time, it feels like a split between 2 seasons. Between the season where we couldn't score and the season where we're starting to get things together. Admittedly, our past 3 games haven't been great. Our loss against Montreal, our win against New York, where we honestly were getting outplayed and somehow had a big lead. Then we blew that big lead, and then we won in overtime anyways. And then again, against Montreal tonight. But then I look at that bigger stretch, that 9-game stretch, and I think, more often than not, they've been the better team. They've shown a vast improvement from that first third of the season to the past 2/3. There's a clear difference. Who knows? Maybe, we lost to Montreal, beat New York, lost to Montreal. Maybe we're now on another downswing and we're going to lose 5 of 6 and then we're going to win 6 in a row, and maybe we are in for a roller coaster. But based off of what's happened recently, I think the Chargers are in an all right spot. The other thing is standings wise. Again, what do you make? We have played 15 games and have 19 points. It's not terrific, not terrible, right? It could be a lot worse. 19 out of 45. Not amazing, but again, you remember how slow our start was. And you think, well, of the 19 points, we got 16 in the past 9 games. That's not too bad, right? That's 16 out of 27. It's pretty decent. In terms of points percentage, it's pretty good. So what do you make? I make that we just can't crack Desbiens. I complained a lot about getting goalied by everyone in the first half of the season. And now we've kind of cracked some goaltenders. Desbiens is really good. Desbiens is the kind of goaltender where when you get goalied by Desbiens, you're like, well, yeah. No duh. Multi-time gold medalist. One of the best goalies to ever do it. Surefire Hall of Famer. When you are losing to every goaltender and every goaltender, you can't get more than 1 past them, that's an issue with your team. When you start to score consistently and it's just Anne Desbiens is the one stopping you, fair, Desbiens, Frankel, and yes, I'm going to put her in this category, Phillips. These are the kinds of goaltenders where you're like, yeah, no, fair enough. They're going to stop 30 shots in a night. So, what are you going to do? tonight I felt like, yeah, the better team won. And I have to say, just in general, between Montreal and Ottawa, I find that there is a really strong home ice advantage. I can't wait for them to come to us. I think that it might be different. Like I said, it feels weird. Standing-wise, we're, I think, tied for 5th with 19 points. We're tied for 5th with, I believe, Vancouver. And a win would still put us a point out of the playoffs with like a game extra played. But also, it is still very tight. Like, I'd say the top of the league and the bottom of the league, there's a big separation. But like the bottom of the league and playoff spot and top of the league, not a lot of separation. Does that make sense? Like, I could see any of the bottom 4 teams being a playoff team, and I could see any of the current playoff teams ending up first, and I could see any of the like non-Boston playoff teams falling out. Like, there's a lot of movement that can still happen, and this is the PWHL. You face every team at least 4 times. We haven't faced anybody 4 times yet. So, we've faced Montreal twice. We have 2 more matchups. We can make back those points. Every single team in the league that we have faced twice, we have at least beaten them once. Minimum. And yes, Montreal is the only exception. Seattle does have a winning record against us because we have not played them twice. That's our next game, our upcoming game. And there are some teams that would have like a winning record against us in the sense of like, they beat us in regulation, we beat them in overtime. But if you win 3 out of 4 games in overtime, and they get a regulation win, it doesn't matter. You'll end up with more points. That's what's nice about a small league that has a sizable amount of games. I consider 30 sizable. You can make up lost ground easily. Like, I know your local Ottawa fans bringing up the CFL again, but I think of the CFL, and that's a league where you will face a team 2, maybe 3 times in a season. So if you are fighting them for a playoff position and you play them twice in the start of the season, then for the entire rest of the season, you might not see them. And if they win both of those games, there is nothing you can do to make up that ground except hope that they lose and you win. But you cannot force yourself to like take those points. And every game is a 6-point game, right? Like, it's not just that we didn't get 3 points, it's that Montreal did. But that's every game with every team. It's only really once we pass game like 21 where you can start to be like, it doesn't really matter. Like, we're getting into the game, the last day where everyone's playing. 4 games, 8 teams. One of them, Boston, is against New York. Now, objectively for us, New York's one of the teams we're chasing. Boston has a bit of a cushion. Objectively, that means we should probably root for a Boston regulation win so that we can really make up ground. If we can beat Seattle and Boston beats New York in regulation, great, we make up a lot of ground. But honestly, in this league, with us still facing New York and still facing Boston multiple times, that's what matters more. What matters more is, hey, the teams that we're chasing, we're going to face them again. Can we win those games? And the teams that are chasing us, can we make sure that they don't gain any more ground? Because yes, we can. Right now, Seattle, 3 points behind us. Game in hand. I think it's 2 games in hand. We could make that 6 points behind us, 2 games in hand. That gives us a nice cushion. That gives us the ability to say, even with your games in hand, the best you can do is tie us. So it doesn't really matter about scoreboard watching. Just win your games and you can do it, because you've got 30 games and this is just the halfway mark. We're gonna see everybody a few more times, which is exactly why I look at the first bit of the season. I think that was awful, that was terrible. But then I look at what's happened recently and I think, could we win a third of our games moving forward, I think we could. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that of our final 15 games of the season, we could walk away with 10 wins, with 30 points. You add that to our total, and I think that would probably do it. I think that would... Oh, did I say 10 wins and 30 points? That's right. I got my math right. Yeah, and I think if we, in our final 15 games of the season, can get 30 points, I think we'd be a lock for the playoffs. I do. I think that 49 points would pretty comfortably put us in there. So I look at where the standings are right now, and I feel like I'm trying to decipher hieroglyphics, because it doesn't show you what's underneath the surface. That yes, Ottawa's played more games, and that gives other teams advantage. But also, recently, Ottawa's been pretty good. There are some teams that have been shaky. Like, I'm not going to lie, I don't trust Toronto and Vancouver to consistently outplay us. Now, it's the PWHL, so I might be eating these words in a few months from now. And Toronto and Vancouver both go on crazy runs, and then we fall out of favor with the hockey gods. Who knows? But it's like a game like this where I look at that and I say, maybe just based off of who teams have played, a really good team hasn't revealed itself. Montreal has looked pretty good as of late. You know, in my opinion, they've looked pretty strong. And it makes me think maybe they're better than their record shows. And maybe us losing to them isn't the end of the world. Also, sometimes good teams lose to bad teams, and bad teams beat good teams. So it puts me in a weird spot, because, look, if this game happened at the start of the season, oh yeah, this would be a classic your local Ottawa fan meltdown. I'd be screaming and ranting and raving, and how come we can't score, and how come our power play looked so anemic, and this and that. And honestly, I'm like, now this feels like the odd game out. Now this feels like the outlier. Like, compared to the overall, and compared to recency bias. But also, the recency bias, at the start of us getting a few wins in a row, those games felt like outliers in the overall of, you know, oh, we have 2 wins in 7 games. Oh, we have 3 wins in 8 games. You know, it took a while for it to make me feel a bit more comfortable that, oh, wait a minute, I think this team's all right. I mean, 7 wins in 9 games is great. 7 wins in 14 games, it's eh. But again, when you started 1-5, getting up to 7 wins in 15 games, like, how? I mean, this game, it was almost a repeat. Like, I've seen this one before. We start the game with a few shots right at the gate. We're looking good. Now, this time, Montreal did take a penalty first, and our power play was decent. I thought our first one generated some good chances. There was a really nice dangle, a toe drag by Leslie, and again, Desbiens just too good tonight. We don't score on, I thought, the power play. It was all right. Like I said, we had some good chances. Then we take a penalty right after, and Stacey almost scores, but is denied by Phillips. We kill off the penalty, but inarguably, Montreal is kind of taken over the game. They have got all the momentum. They take a penalty, and this is, again, maybe a chance to get the momentum back. The best chance on this power play was a shorthanded chance from Montreal by Stacey, which, again, Phillips stands tall, but we don't do much. And as things are starting to even out, I think, like, the first period maybe is going to be a back and forth, 2-on-1. Phillips stops the initial shot, can't stop the rebound. It's 1-0 Montreal, and from there they take over. We take a penalty. right at the end of the period, and that makes it a 2-0 game going into the second. And honestly, after their first goal, Montreal takes over the rest of the period. Completely takes over the rest of the period. In the second period, again, I think we started well. Clark gets a breakaway chance. Brooke Hobson seems to score. I am a very biased fan. I am like the most biased Ottawa Charge fan you could. Ottawa sports fan in general. You won't find a more biased Ottawa fan than me. And that's not a goal like I wanted to believe. And I was like, oh, well, like, is she in the crease, though? Is Katarova in the crease? I don't know. Maybe this will stand. I wouldn't have been mad if it stood. I could have understood an argument for it standing. But, come on. The reason why Desbiens doesn't make this save is because she's interfered with. It's pretty textbook. And while I do think that there was a semi-decent chance that it was going in either way, this honestly is one of those we'll never know, because she had no chance of saving it. And the reason she had no chance of saving it is because she was interfered with without a Montreal player initiating that contact. This is textbook goaltender interference. No goal. It gets overturned. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad about the goal being overturned, because, like, if I were a ref, I would overturn that. Nonetheless, I did think our second period was our best period. Even though the shot total, I'm pretty sure, still favored Montreal at the end of the second, like, in terms of just that period. I thought we played a much better second period. We get a power play, and, you know, again, we don't score. I thought our power play was weak tonight. But with us getting momentum, with it turning a bit in our favor, Michaela Cava gets what looks like her first goal as a member of the Ottawa Charge. Ultimately, it is tipped by Katarova, so she gets her first point as a member of the Ottawa Charge, and the Ottawa Charge score 2-1. This is where it would stay. This is where it would stay for the rest of the game. You know, I thought that, you know, the rest of the second period was all right. You know, it was pretty even. Greg got a penalty, second penalty of the game for her. So, I mean, maybe Ridley was saying, hey, make sure Ottawa wins. But we didn't do much on the power play. And it's actually almost ended early because Poulin and Stacy get a really good chance. And thankfully, they just can't get that perfect connection to seal it. I think that goal would have put the game away way earlier than it was. But yeah, it's not the power play we're looking for. And ultimately, by the end of the second period, we take a penalty that bleeds into the third. We do kill off the penalty, but I felt throughout the third, Montreal just shut us down. They went in the shutdown mode, and they really succeeded. We didn't get a burst of good chances until the very end when we pulled our goaltender. And while, yeah, there were like a few penalties, I felt that Montreal had all the momentum. And with the empty net, Montreal scores to make it 3-1 and seal the deal. Again, we needed to score more there. Phillips did everything she could. I can't really blame her for either of the goals. 33 shots on 35, or 33 saves on 35 shots. Sometimes you have games like this. The question for me really becomes, do you have more games like this? Right? The first 6 games, we went 1-5. The next 6 games, we went 6 for 6. Now we've won 1, we've lost 2. I think if we can finish with 3-3, that's all right. That keeps us in the fight. We're facing Seattle, a team that's chasing us, and then we get a nice long Olympic break where I will go from Ottawa Charge to Team Canada mode and maybe discuss the mind-bogglingly awful goaltending that we've had with our men's team here in Ottawa. That's just been a whole thing. Even though they are above 500 points percentage, they're just in the division where that does not even come close to mattering. Like, that is literally the lowest bar possible. Every team when every team in your division is above 500, you need to be a pretty good team to make the playoffs. And I think the Sens are all right. All right ain't gonna cut it. It's not gonna cut it this year. And I'm starting to think that might be the same with the PWHL. That all right won't cut it. You're gonna need to be good. And a game like this, they were all right at best. But there have been other games where they've been pretty good. So I'm excited to see what happens in the Seattle game. It is Brianne Jenner bobblehead night. She is one point away from 50. I am trying to will into existence game-winning goal, .50, Brianne Jenner. Oh, please. Yeah, I don't. It's a weird spot. What do you say? Is this good? Is this like it's a bad result? But is the team good? Is the team bad? We got Desbiens. What can you say? And as always, go Ottawa, go.